This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Athletics.
Leaping at the wall, it's gone! A towering drive into center field by Rooker.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
A judgy blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back into the second deck.
Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first shortstop in Major League history to have two 30-30 seasons.
Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to walk-off dingers to Hall of Fame talk. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Well, no, I'm hosting this show from now on. Just kidding. Cody Elias here with Chris Townsend. And the great Steve Sax is on the program with us live from West Sacramento at the ballpark here. It's going to be a great day. The A's coming back from a, disastrous road trip to Los Angeles after the first game and in San Francisco. But it's a new day. The Los Angeles Angels are here after sweeping the Dodgers of all teams. Guys, how are you today?
Good. How about you?
Well, you can't complain, Steve.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
Okay.
I mean, I know you're doing TV this weekend with Zach Bay-Rudy calling the Rivercats game. So
Yep.
You've been doing baseball all weekend, Towny?
That was awful. That was as bad as it possibly could be, right? You're going down and you're taking on the San Francisco Giants. It's a interesting time. Wasn't really thrilled about what the Giants were trying to pull off there with a lot of stuff where they're trying to act like all Bay Area now.
Yeah, that.
I thought it was weak. I don't know how much we're going to get into that, but you talk about disingenuous. The San Francisco Giants are one of the reasons why the A's are in Sacramento and why the A's will be moving to Las Vegas. They funded lawsuits. They did everything they could to try and push the A's out of the Bay. And then this weekend they tried to act like, oh, let's bring all the new Oakland teams in and let's sing Kumbaya. It was very disingenuous. I can't believe that and I understand how hurt our fan base is, but the fact that our fan base fell for that in some ways, I thought was, I kind of bit my tongue. But if you really know the efforts of the San Francisco Giants to get the A's out of the Bay Area, you would see how phony all of that stuff was this weekend. And you get swept, it was not good.
Well, and you're also forgetting the 415 loves 510 sign that everyone destroyed on social media.
There is nothing about the San Francisco Giants that wanted the Oakland A's to remain in Oakland. Nothing. They voted for relocation. They did it. They secretly funded lawsuits. They did everything they could to make it a one-team market. And then now be like, oh, can't we all just get along? Straight phony.
It was, and to see, I saw a lot of fans, from the Oakland days at the ballpark. I was there on Friday. I was boots on the ground. I was there to see what happened at that game, and then obviously watching over the weekend. To see all that stuff on social media, I can't believe, like you said, people fell for it. So I'm kind of glad we're moving past that. We're back in the ballpark in West Sacramento.
I just had to say it.
No, I totally. I'm glad you would say it better than us because you've been around it longer than any of us.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. We have a good show for you today. Before we dive into the A's and the Angels, JP Sears is going to join us after batting practice. He pitched on Friday. An okay start, not really, but one bad pitch to Wilmer Flores and it got him. But he'll be joining us for the first time this season on the set here in the ballpark in West Sacramento, and World Series champion and good friend of the program, a guy you faced a lot in your day, Mark Gubicza of the Angels television will be joining us around 5:10. So good show today. But we come in watching the Angels who come here, no Mike Trout, shocker, and they come off a sweep in Los Angeles, which the Dodgers have been swept by the Angels since 2010. And I believe it's the first time the Dodgers have been swept in a 3-game series since 2023. They come in hot. This is a chance for the A's to finally get out of the NL playing the interleague games and finally get a chance to play against some AL West teams, which they've done pretty well against Texas and Seattle so far this year.
Yeah. Well, they got talent over there. There's no question about it. But the thing about it is when you come out of LA after sweeping them, sometimes when you really overextend yourself and you go past expectations, a lot of times there is a letdown. And maybe we'll see that happen, in this series. Of course, you got to go out there and beat them yourselves. You can't depend on anything like that. But seen it happen too many times where, man, the team's hot. They overtook this, the front runner. They went out and swept them. Then they don't do so well the next couple series.
There was an article on The Athletic today from Sam Blum, who covers the Angels, and he was talking about how the Angels, how excited they are. They swept the Dodgers and all that. It's a perfect chance for them to come in overconfident in the A's to hopefully win 2 out of 3 or sweep the series and get back on track and get back to 500.
You're right about that, Cody. Sometimes that happens with a little bit of overconfidence. Not saying they're going to do that. I think, of course, the Athletics mindset is we're going to have to go out there and beat these guys on our own merit and not worry about anything that can be, involved in, the rhythm of the team or anything like that. So they're going to be up for it for sure.
Well, the A's won 8 of the 13 games they played last year against the Angels. No one's watched more A's-Angels than, well, I guess we have than the set than watching the Angels come into town now. Still not good. Ron Washington's doing a better job this year, but the team is still not where they want to be. But this is a chance for you to get back on track after being, after losing 5 straight, which the A's need to avoid a long losing streak if they want to stay in this. And it's so early in the season, so hopefully that happens.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that they swept the Dodgers, first time since 2010. What was the note we're going to have for you also on NBC? Last time this happened, Mike Trout was an A-ball.
How about that?
Cedar Rapids.
Was he 18 then?
Yeah.
I had to been, right? 2010.
Yeah. So he would have been young, yeah. Wow.
And Cedar Rapids, Towny. Long ways from the big leagues, man. That is a long
Have you ever been there?
way. Yeah, I played there. Played in Cedar Rapids. Played against the Giants. Were in Cedar Rapids when I was there. So that is a long distance away from being in the big leagues. But Mike Trout is him. And Mike Trout's Mike Trout.
Well, JT Ginn's back. He got reinstated from the IL. Anthony Maldonado will go back down to AAA. The Aviators, by the way, are hot. I mean, they're 30 and 15 best team in the PCL.
They made Sports Center.
Oh, was what happened?
They did.
There's some big catch out in right field. Robbed a home run, made Sports Center.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well,
right.
And Fran Reardon wasn't even there. He was here filling in for Darren Bush as the bench coach. So Aviators just keep winning without Fran Reardon. But Angels in town, Jose Soriano, who is on the mound, he's pitched better this year. The Angels, not known for their starting pitching, but seeing him come in with a really high ground ball rate, it's 62.1%. That's the second highest in baseball behind only the Cardinals. Andre Palante at 64.5%. So hopefully the A's can, get some balls in the air and elevate and celebrate, as we like to say in the sport now.
One thing about him is there's no question mark what you're going to get from Soriano. I mean, half the time, 48% of the time, you're going to get the sinker. That's why he's got such a good ground ball rate, and he throws that knuckle curve. 75% of the time, it's those 2 pitches. So he does try to induce the ground balls, but you make a guy like that, Towny, when you were pitching. I mean, when you were pitching this way, if you had that repertoire as a hitter going against somebody like that, just say, hey, I'm going to make this guy get the ball up, make him get something that'll flatten out in the zone, and then you can get some lift on that guy like that. Because he makes mistakes. Those balls have a lot of torque on them that he's throwing, especially that knuckle curve, and they just really go when he makes a mistake.
Yeah. Well, we talk so much about live by the slug, die by the slug. That's exactly what's happened. There's been no slug.
Yeah. Yeah. Over the last 12 games, the team's slugging percentage, I've been tracking this now. 391. The team's OPS over the last 12 games is 692. They 3-9 in those games, 49 runs scored, 13 home runs, which that seems like a good, it's essentially a home run per game. Yeah. But yeah, when you live by the slug, 391, that's not good. And your 242 team batting average is well below your average on the season, which is around like 256-ish, I believe is what our team batting average is. So the last 12 games, the offense has not been good. Either has the bullpen. The bullpen over the last they blew the game on Sunday, and they have a 9.41 ERA over the last 14 games.
Wow. And that I know that one stat is when we use the bullpen and we win, our bullpen ranks near the top in all the league. Yeah. And when we lose, it's right there at the bottom. So it's been like a tale of two different teams in that regard.
Seems like it's either you're the Dodgers bullpen or you're the Rockies bullpen when you win a list. I mean,
it's a good way to put it.
I mean, I hate to compare us to the Rockies when it comes to anything, but that's kind of what it's like with the bullpen. But a guy that I looked at, and I know you guys are probably going to highlight this on NBC, but Lawrence Butler is a guy that needs to get going. He's not been doing well over his last 12 games either, but he is in his 13 games last year versus the Angels, hit 354, 3 doubles, a triple, 3 homers, 12 RBIs, and a 1,054 OPS. Yeah. And he does have a home run in his career against Soriano. He's a guy that you need to get going, putting him back in the leadoff spot for the A's.
He's way too important to just say, hey, he'll swim along and then he'll be okay when he is. No, he's got to get going now. He's way too important. Hitting at the top of the order, that's where they projected him. That's why they signed him with that big deal, so he can be kind of that leadership role at the top of the order. A guy with some big pop, and he can steal bases. Lawrence Butler is one of those guys that's kind of a freak. He can do all those things, so you can't just have him as a measly player, Towny. He's got to get himself rolling.
Well, I've said it over and over again. Jacob Wilson should be the number 2 hitter.
Yeah.
And if this team is going to get right, Lawrence Butler has to be the leadoff guy.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Dynamic, power, speed,
Yes.
hit for extra base hits, take the bases, steal bags.
Yep.
Because when Lawrence Butler's stealing bags, he doesn't get caught.
No.
So I think a big thing for me is this team's swagger is gone. They got to get the swagger back. And a guy who's a big part of that swagger, because he wears his emotions on his sleeves, is Lawrence Butler.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard you and Shooty talk about that yesterday on NBC Sports, Ace Cast on NBC Sports California. Over his last 12 games, he's hitting 159 with a 508 OPS. But he had the 2-run single yesterday, so you hope that
Saturday and Sunday were good games for Lawrence.
So that hopefully that gets him going against a team that he's had a lot of success with in the Angels. You put him back in the leadoff spot. Hopefully that gets the offense going that's been struggling, and then that can hopefully carry some momentum into having the starting pitching bounce back with JT again on the mound. Because you had great starts from Severino on Saturday, and Jeffrey Springs was awesome yesterday.
Sure was.
I mean, I don't know why he got pulled after 6 2/3. I know the whole
84
he had 84 pitches.
84
we got
pitches
to hit the panic button when this happens. But what did you see out of Springs yesterday?
When he's got the fastball changeup combination, it is what it is.
Yes,
he's as good as anybody.
Yes,
he's that, because when it's the same arm speed. So all of a sudden, once you're throwing that same arm speed with the changeup, now that fastball just jumps on the hitters.
Yeah, and he nailed it. The thing is, what's the two best pitches in baseball? A well-placed fastball when he's on, he's nipping right on that corner, and a changeup coming out of that same window. Can't tell the difference, and it just paralyzes guys. Then you throw a 92 fastball, and boom, it's past him. That's why Kyle Hendricks was so successful. He was breaking bats on the inside part of the plate to right-handers, throwing 88.
Yeah, he's an Angel now too. I don't think he might.
A little bit of a slow start, 1-5 so far, but throwing this a lot speeds up that fastball.
Yeah, I always liked him. I always thought he was like a second coming of Greg Maddux in a way, because he didn't throw hard, but he painted the corners, and this is how he was. And he pitched well for a few years with the Cubs. So I get what you're saying. Yeah. And the Springs that have that started after a few weeks ago. Well, I think the last time we're joking about, should we have an opener start for Jeffrey Springs, which on this date in 2018,
Sergio Romo against
the Angels
at
Angel Stadium,
the Big A.
Oh,
the opener started today. Sergio, the official, what we would call the opener, started today in 2018.
Right. And then the guy that kind of took over for it, I actually looked it up because I was just curious to see. This article on Fangraphs was written up in like some point last year, so it broke down how many openers were used throughout the years. But Brian Stanek was the guy that did it for years. I mean, in 2019, he made 100 appearances from 2018 to 2019. 59 of them were starts as the opener. I mean, he only went 3 outs. So the next guy came in, only had to go, you didn't have to go through the order 3 times. And that's kind of how the opener went. The Rays championed it. Stanek was the guy along with Romo. We still see teams do it, just not as much. I closed the browser that had it, but it broke down how many openers were used per year. And it went down, and then I think in 2023 it jumped back up again. And then last year there weren't many guys using it through May. So we don't see it as much. I know the White Sox were doing it, and we joked about it with Springs. I think it's a useful strategy when guys are struggling, but I kind of like the idea we talked about forever, and I hate to bring up Paul Skeens, but he had a complete game yesterday. I think he's bringing back the starting pitcher, which is good.
Yeah, and look, I get the thing about the opener, and if you do that and you get somebody to go in there and get the bulk innings, and then a couple other guys to filter in after that, the only thing is about it is you got to have everybody doing well. If you have one break in the chain, I mean, there goes the whole philosophy, right? And so everybody's got to buckle down and do their job. If you have one guy that doesn't, it all goes kaput. So that's the only thing about that. And I do agree with you about Paul Skeens kind of bringing back that starter mentality and let them carry the mail, and then use the relievers for what they were intended to, in my estimation, when this game was invented, to pick up the guys that start. And I think that's good. Long-term effects and health of the bullpen is important.
Well, we're gonna bring back buying or selling, a segment we used to do forever on this program. We're gonna bring it back towards the end of the show. Essentially, I'll bring up a topic, ask you guys, bring up a topic, give you some stats and notes, and then ask you buying or selling on something. There's a Paul Skeens question in there that I keep hearing people throw around out there.
Trade him?
Oh wow!
Oh my God!
That's a tease. Stick around.
Really?
Stick around for an hour from now at around 5:45. Should the Pirates trade Paul Skeens? But
I know somebody could use him. Right.
Well, the thing I heard today was Jim Bowden on Sirius XM said he wouldn't, because they did a pretty funny segment where the three hosts, Mike Farron, Jim Duquette, former GM, and Jim Bowden, former GM, were assigned. They had to run and fix 3 teams, the Orioles, Rockies, and Pirates. And how would you fix those teams? So Bowden was in charge of running the Rockies. He goes, I have an 8-step plan on how to fix the Rockies in a year.
An 8-step plan?
Sell the team to Jeff Bezos, hire Theo Epstein, move the team to Nashville, sign Tucker, like every big free agent pitcher or player, sign every big free agent pitcher, just throw billions of dollars out there. And then that's why he goes, and that's how you'll get back on track. And everyone's like, and Farron's like, wow, it only takes 8 steps. I go, I'm glad he took this seriously. and then he said, with the Pirates, because Duquette had the Pirates, and he said, why don't you wouldn't trade him to the Dodgers for 7 prospects? And it's like, the Dodgers fleece guys when they make trades because they have all these highly touted prospects, and then they get sent somewhere and they don't really pan out. And the Dodgers is fleece teams because those guys do well for them, and their guys come back. So hearing the 8-step process,
he's here,
and there he is,
our man.
And there he is.
Mark Gubicza, who will be here in about 20 minutes or so, or 25 minutes.
You want to do him now?
Well, I don't know what JP Sears is.
Oh.
I hate to kick him out when JP Sears
Yeah,
comes.
I got you.
That's right. Yeah.
So he's early.
Yeah, I think he's one to come say hi.
Okay,
I forgot. I wanted this. I was going to surprise him with the whole idea that you were going to be doing it with him.
Yeah.
Because I didn't let him know.
He was a very, very uncomfortable at bat. I didn't like facing him.
Well, like I told you, I said one thing we could talk about the Angels, but another thing you talk about is you guys could talk about Bo Jackson. I mean, his Bo Jackson stories are incredible.
Yeah.
Every time
There's
he comes on, he tells a different Bo Jackson story.
Yeah.
Well, you think about his length.
Yes.
Mark Gubicza coming down that mound with a lot of
this
was going on.
Towny, this stuff was filthy. It was like a snake on a griddle. It was so filthy. And then he had that tight slider. He never threw it for balls. He was strike one every time he went up to bat. He is not a comfortable at bat.
When we're out there, I'll tell you what he told us that they used to call him in the clubhouse.
What's
His nickname. It's a pretty good nickname. Yeah. I'll tell you off the air. It's pretty funny.
In
your career versus Mark Gubicza, 259 average and 27 at bats. So
okay. Hey, I'll take it.
I mean, you remember we went through this exercise with you, and you remembered literally every bat against someone, and you're like, oh yeah, I did a home run against that guy. And it's like, how do you remember that?
Oh yeah. I mean, look, I can actually remember pitches and balls I hit in Little League. And then there's what's up, Mark? And then there's a lot of them that I don't want to remember. A lot of at bats I don't want to remember. But yeah, it's funny how you remember that. It just kind of sticks in your head. But Gooby was one of those guys that was very uncomfortable. Yeah.
So JP Sears, taking it back to the A's, JP Sears or
Yep.
JT Ginn making his return from the IL tonight. What are you guys expecting to see from him tonight against the Angels?
Well, he's going to – I listened to the presser before the game with manager Kotze. He's going to get, kind of what he's been getting before, 80, 85 pitches. I look for him to try to, I know it sounds like a cliche, but he's going to take less wear and tear and less stress if he's ahead on the hitters. Gets on the hitters and then, try to dispose of these guys with fewer pitches. That's going to make some momentum created, and the team's going to benefit from it. But going in long, protracted at-bats against guys, that's where you last 3 innings and, you're taxing the bullpen. So
simple. You got to be competitive with the sinker in the strike zone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he has that ability.
And let it work in there.
Just to bore in on right-handers, away from lefties. He actually can throw it up in the zone too. Yeah. And as you know, as a right-handed hitter, you don't like anything boring right in on your hands.
No.
And that's, a lot of right-handers can't do that. He does have that ability. Yes. And then we can talk about his other stuff. But to me, when you're seeing those ground balls and strikeout numbers, it's when he's dominating in the zone with that power sinker.
Yes, I agree. And that's his game. And the good thing about him is he's not like you take a guy like Sears, not anything against Sears, but when he pitches to be effective, he's got to be nearly perfect to go a long distance, right? Because his stuff isn't as strong as a guy that has a lot of movement or a guy that throws 100. So he's got to be on his mark, and he has been pitching like that. He's very effective that way. But a guy like Ginn can throw the ball with a little bit more relaxed type of an approach because his ball can work in the zone. He can catch a meaty part of the plate, and the ball will move. I had an event with Jose Canseco a couple days ago out in
That's
in
just
Clarksburg.
a casual name drop.
Yeah.
That was the wine deal.
Yes, and I went.
How'd it go?
It was fantastic, and Jose was great. And one thing he talked about, he said, I've been wanting to ask you this for 35 years. It was him. He was over there and I was over here and everybody was in the middle. And we were volleying questions back and forth about the 88 World Series. And he said, I've been wanting to ask you this for 35 years, how you guys beat us. And he said, first time I faced Oral Hershiser, he threw me a fastball or that sinker down the middle. And as soon as I went to it, I said, this is a home run. And he said, and the ball wasn't there. And then he said, I'm in big trouble because I've never seen a ball work like that in the strike zone with this natural movement. That's what Ginn can do. Ginn can do that as well.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Oral because every time we talk about JT Ginn, we always hear the bulldog mentality, and that's what Oral was. I mean,
yeah,
I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of Oral Hershiser film because I was too young, but I know how dominant his '88 season was, carrying it all the way through the postseason. So if JT Ginn can, I'm not saying be like Oral Hershiser, but somehow become the guy that we think he could be.
Trust that stuff. He's got great stuff, Towny. He's got great stuff that has late movement. And let it work in that zone. Not really caring how much it gets to the plate because it's going to move a lot. Hitters don't like that.
It's funny how just baseball evolves, where we have gyro pitches, we have all this stuff now, right? Yeah. But essentially, Hershiser, it was a two-seamer, more of what we would call the drop variety.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
When we talk about being able to pronate, I know if you're listening on 650 or A's Cast, supinate and pronate. The way a pronator. Kind of like think about throwing a football.
Yeah.
Guys that are very good pronators. That's what I was a quarterback. That's why my best pitch was my changeup. Mm-hmm. But Hershiser is the way it was more like a drop than what a two-seamer would be.
And sometimes so he had that coming into the righty, and then he had that tight slider on the outside. He basically had two pitches, and he was that good with two pitches. So movement counts. Believe me. Talk about the three components of pitching.
When he broke Drysdale's scoreless streak in San Diego, that was just incredible.
Yeah, I was in that game, and I'll tell you what, the guy was just it was like magic. But those three elements of pitching, velocity, movement, and location. Velocity actually is probably the least important. It's the movement and the location that matter.
I always like looking at the numbers from guys pitching back then. What Oral did that year. He was a cool 23-8. 23 wins in 34 starts, 35 games. This is something you never see anymore. He had 15 complete games. We might not have 15 complete games in the league this year.
Right.
We've had one. It was a Joey Estes, in 3 years?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Wow.
So that was a complete game. Shooting, I were trying to remember who it was, and I was like, oh, yeah, Estes had the one against the Angels last year.
You've only had one in 3 years?
Yeah. Because prior to that, it was Minaya and Chris Bassett had the two of that year, like in May and June.
Wow.
And then it was
Fires had the
no-hitter
against Cincinnati.
Minaya had the no-hitter the year before that. So, we haven't had a lot. And so, the Rays have gone – I can't remember – I don't think they haven't had a complete game since 2017 or something like that. And I think it was Chris Archer might have had the last one for them.
Okay. So what do you think has changed, Towny and Cody? What do you think has changed? Because years ago, even before that, you had Nolan Ryan with violent arm action, very violent arm action. 340 innings. Don Sutton, well over 300 innings, a few times. These guys were pitching twice as much as pitchers today. What changed in the human being? What evolution took place?
Velocity.
Yeah.
You're trying to take the human body to its furthest level. You're extending the human body. You're extending, and the best way to kind of put this for people is you're extending ligaments, tendons, muscles to as far as they possibly can go. And you keep doing that over and over again, the human body will break down.
So you're talking about most pitchers are 85% output, and these guys you're talking about are 100% output.
There is no other gear than fifth gear now.
Yeah. Well, that's the difference.
And I believe the average fastball velocity is somewhere like 94, 95 miles an hour. We're back. Not to bring it up, but back when you were playing, the average fastball velocity was 89?
But different. They measured it differently. They measured it coming out of the hand now. Back then it was coming over the plate. They did a mock-up of Nolan Ryan, his life-size mock-up of him pitching, and they clocked him in today's version. He was like 108. So he was massively different. And so there is a difference. I've been in the pits in spring training. I've been right down there watching pitch. I would say there's not much difference at all, but I think the overall breadth of pitchers today, they do throw harder. All of them, compared to, the average guy. They throw harder today.
Yeah, no, they do.
But not like, 10 miles an hour difference. It's not that much,
It's like, look at the Olympics. Every 4 years, there's guys running faster and swimming faster,
Yeah,
guys
that's
and
true.
gals.
That's true.
The world records constantly get broken.
It does.
You're constantly pushing the human body.
Yes.
The human body's training better, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah. But the injury point is that you're pushing the body more than it's ever been before. You're asking these arms. You want these guys to throw everything as hard as they can, spin it as much as they – well, at some point, the arm is going to break down.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And we're seeing that with the record amounts of Tommy John. I mean, the Pirates, Jared Jones, who's a guy that a lot of people thought would be a nice number 2 in the rotation for them. He's going to see Dr. Keith Meister today, which means he's probably going to have Tommy John or the bracket. Or
This is not normal to do this.
Yeah.
This right here is not normal.
Well, when these guys are throwing 100 and then they're throwing a breaking ball the whole time, and the torque on there, it is a good. I'm looking at the innings pitched. The leader in innings pitched right now is Zach Wheeler at 64 and 10 starts. So we had a I guess you could say food bet years ago about. I said there wouldn't be a guy that threw 200 innings that year, and I think we end up having 8 guys go 200 innings. But 15 years ago, there was 40 guys went 200 innings. And so the way the game is now, guys don't pitch as deep, and guys aren't. They're trying to max out everything on velocity, and that's why they're getting hurt. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification right here on AceCast.
Clear. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Coming back.
Fun show, man. This is a fun show.
Batting practice is over, so hopefully JP Sears will be here. So hopefully JP Sears next, and then Mark Gubicza, World Series champion and Angels TV analyst, next, right here on A's Cast Live.
Former A's pitcher and current SNY and MLB Network analyst Ron Darling shared his insights on the young A's core during an appearance on A's Cast Live.
I think everything starts at the top, right? So you got to start with Mark Kotze.
Yeah.
You know Kotze. He is a pro through and through, a great guy through and through, and he's been put in this spot for a reason, to make sure that these young players thrive and get better. Between Wilson and Soderstrom, Langoliers, I'm a huge fan of. I didn't know he ran like he runs. He really can run for a catcher. So you have all of this young talent, young core of everyday players, because pitching, you can go out and get a Severino.
Yeah.
You can go get some pitching. But core young players that you have control of are promised land for any organization. This team's going to get much better really quickly. They have all the pieces that this could be the time in the middle 2000s or late 80s, early 90s where they can return to form.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast. Get your group together and check out all our great hospitality spaces for bonding opportunities, events, or a fun outing of your friends and family. There are 20, 50, and 100-person indoor suites available for select games, as well as an 80-person open-air area with a shaded cover. Secure your group today at athletics.com/hospitality.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
Jacob Wilson sat down with Chris Townsend to share why the A's clubhouse believes they can win right now.
I think that we were talking about that in spring training. Being able to, obviously we had some great signings that, great players come in, be able to lead the clubhouse, and then some extensions that we had, with the guys who called out last year. And, I think in spring training we were talking about this is something we're excited for, and to be able to see it coming into full effect right now it's great, but it is a long season, so we got to keep working every day and keep trying to go out there and get those wins.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
You're listening to A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Well, now joining us here on A's Cast Live, he's an all-time favorite of the program. He's a World Series champion. He's an all-star. He's turned into one of the top color guys in our game. The great Mark Gubicza is with us once again. Gooby, how are you?
Great. That's where I got my start with my boy right here, Saxy.
You guys are all, what was it, Fox Sports or something back in the day?
We were on the National
Sports Report, yeah.
Right when we must have. What year did you retire?
I retired officially in 98, so we were doing it already in like 2000, 2001.
I retired in 95 officially, so it was about 98 when I think right when you retired.
Yep.
We were working together, so we had a lot of fun.
Well, yeah. I was following it on, and I was a big fan of George Brett and the Royals growing up, and and I was so happy to see the reunion for the 1985 team, the first championship team in Kansas City. To see you guys all together, what that team meant to the area, what it meant to the city, what you guys still mean to Kansas City to this day. Just how special was it getting together?
Yeah, even when we were out there, we were announced on the field. It was amazing how, granted, there's a lot of people who weren't even alive at that point, but just that connection we had. And even when we had the gala the first night in on Thursday night and seeing guys, and, everyone's gotten a little bit older 40 years later. But the minute you sat next to them, it's as if we were just still talking about Game 7 of the World Series, and everybody's memory of every pitch, every play, every hit. It was incredible. And then Garth Brooks came out and sang for George Brett for his birthday. I'm like, I say, wow, how much fun is this? Tom Watson was there because he's a Kansas City guy. Wow. I walked by him. It was so funny, guys. And he was sitting in a chair. I went, Tom Watson. He goes, yeah, what's up? I said, no, you're Tom Watson. You're here. And he's like, yeah. I said, Tom Watson. He goes, I'll be up there in a minute. Just relax yourself. I said, but it's Tom Watson there.
8-time major winner.
Yes, wow. Yes. So it was great. The guys were, we had 22 of the guys from that team that year, and it was so much fun just reflecting and going back on what we did, because we came back from 3-1 deficits in both series. No one has ever done that. I'm pretty sure no one's ever done it still to this day. So just doing something that we did that year and just be part of something so special is fun.
Wow. Gooby, how about today when you see these pitchers today and people talk about, how everybody throws 100 on, they live segment before this, I let everybody know they clock it differently now than they did then. And but the amount of innings that they throw today, and the Towny really kind of put it out there. It's full 100% effort instead of what you guys did. What effort percentage were you guys out there throwing? Because 100 today is where probably a lot of these injuries are happening.
Yeah, actually, I agree 100%. I think part of it is, people are telling me they want that swing and miss, the whiff percentage. We talk about that on the air all the time. Yep. Our goal was to get how many outs could we get in 1 or 2 pitches. So that way you're out there 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. And I think what you were seeing in baseball, besides the injuries, now bullpens are starting to kind of crumble and collapse a little bit because the amount of outs they have to get out of the bullpen every single day. And it's not their fault, the bullpen, because they're out there every day. I mean, we just played the Dodgers. They had like 4 guys with already 23 and 24 and 25 appearances. We're only 40-some games into the season, and they're starting to give it up a little bit. So, I think it's going to switch around where you're going to see starters. The starters for the Angels have been pretty good. They've been average about 6 innings to start. The bullpen has been so-so, but their starters have been given some good length in the game.
Last time the Angels swept the Dodgers, we got to go back to 2010. Mike Scioscia's the manager. I believe Mike Trout was 18 years old in A-ball in Cedar Rapids.
Yep.
Just talk about how big this weekend was.
I mean, going into Dodger Stadium, and as well as they've been playing the way to swing the bat, you're dealing with those top 3 in their lineup when you got Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman. Then you got Will Smith swinging the way he is. You thought it was a recipe for not a whole lot of fun. So they win that first game 6-2. And the last 2 games it was a battle there. And you've been to so many games there at Dodger Stadium where it was electric. I mean, there's a lot of Angel fans, believe it or not, there. And the Dodgers were expecting, I think, to have a pretty good series, but the offense was good. They actually drew some walks, which is unusual for the Angels. They had 14 walks in that series. So, and of course, they had some home runs, 7 of them, I think. It was a lot of fun to be able to win that. And even going on the flight up here to Sacramento, the guys felt like, all right, it wasn't like they were going crazy on the plane. They were like, all right, this is what we can do if we put it together and be a more consistent offensive team.
Yeah. You look at this situation as it is now, Gooby. This American League West is wide open. I mean, it really is. How do you assess it as it sits now?
I say right now this division is winnable for any team in this division. I feel that the Athletics can do it. I feel the Angels, if they could turn around, especially early in the season, they were 9-5 in the first 14 games. They were talk of baseball. Even MLB Network was talking about them. But then its struggles come through. Seattle can pitch, but now you're seeing a couple of their arms getting hurt in their starting rotation. I don't know if their offense is consistent. Texas is always good, and DeGrom's throwing the ball well. How long is he going to be in the rotation himself? And Corey Seager, with that hamstring issue he's a phenomenal player. And then you got Houston. As much as we love to count them out every year, you look up, they're still a couple games over 500. So it is wide open. I think it comes down to whose bullpen I think is going to be the most consistent. I know the Athletics bullpen has been struggling a little bit, like the Angels. If the Angels bullpen was more consistent, they'd probably be 2 or 3 games over 500. But there's a lot of young guys down there that haven't had a lot of experience. We had one guy that never played professional ball, and Ryan Johnson starting up, and here he is starting his career in the major leagues.
Wow.
And then he had another pitcher who was an A-ball last year, and then but Kenley Jansen at the back end always stabilizes that, but they don't have Ben Joyce being hurt. That really hurt him. He was supposed to be their 8th inning guy. He's out for the season now with surgery on the shoulder. Robert Stevenson's going to come back pretty soon, but if they're consistent with their bullpen, it'll be a lot different story for them.
Let's end on this. It's a battle of young, good shortstops. Zach Neto, who we saw come up really early and when he can play. He's 24. Your first look at Jacob Wilson, really, at 23 years old. I know we're going to highlight. How about for you guys on Angels television?
I still remember Jacob when he was playing at Thousand Oaks High School, as a matter of fact, because I was coaching there with Shamana there for a while going against him. I said, wow, this kid's pretty good. And I'm looking at his numbers. So I always kind of keep an eye on guys that are in a local area where I live now, and he's phenomenal. He's crushing fastballs. I noticed that right away. And he also puts the ball in play. I love to see guys put the ball in play
until he's not.
Yeah, exactly. And this should be a lot of Zach Neto. He is. I mean, considering he didn't even swing the bat really till his rehab assignment in AAA, and he rehabbed his shoulder. He had labrum surgery. Phenomenal defender. He brings a lot of energy, and he's hitting a lot of home runs, especially in the first inning. I mean, he's a really, really good player. There's so many great shortstops now, young shortstops in baseball, especially when you look at the American League.
Well, the big story coming out of that 85 reunion is how old was Mark Gubicza when he was pitching, because everybody else looked old, and this guy looks like 30 years younger than his teammates. You should have seen on Twitter. It was like a whole thread about how great you look.
I mean, you know what? I always joke around. I was only like 14 at that point. But 22, my first year was 21. 22 was when we won the World Series at Sabre.
As handsome as he is, he was one of the most uncomfortable at bats I've ever had. I mean,
filthy
out there on the mound.
But that's why my arm is crooked still right now. It's actually.
I told you we were getting a new setup here.
Yeah, this is a good setup right now.
Like this?
I like it. I'm excited when I said, "Oh, you're playing up here in Sacramento." Like I said, never been here before, but it's just like down in Tampa. It's a baseball field, and the field looks great itself. I said, guys, let's go out there and play. That's what it's all about. It doesn't matter if you're playing on the moon, as long as there's a baseball field and some white lines being built and a mound high enough where I could throw hard.
Gooby, always the best. Have a good call.
Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it. You got it.
Great Mark Gubicza,
awesome.
Royals Hall of Famer.
Anything for you guys.
Oh, he's the best. JP Sears is now going to join us. Sears, is going to happen? You're good. You're off the hook.
You got to bring a real athlete in.
Yeah, Mark Gubicza.
Yeah.
You talking? Yeah, the size coming down the mound back in the day, Gooby.
So JP, how you doing? Steve Sax.
Pretty cool.
Good
Mark
to see you.
Talking with JP Sears.
I had to face him my whole career.
Oh man, really?
Filthy.
You always remember the guys that were really good.
Yeah, that guy was.
Yeah, that guy right there, World Series champion. He was an all-star. He was spectacular. JP Sears.
How's it going?
Good. It's the first time we've gotten you up on the new set. How are you?
It's nice up here. I was just complimenting it. The lighting's pretty good, huh?
Yeah,
it looks pretty good up here.
The one thing that I've noticed so much about your game, we've talked a lot about you and the sweeper, your development of the sweeper. It's so interesting that, one of the keys of being a left-hander your entire life has been I can get lefties out. And now you face all right-handed lineups. Talk about the adjustment and how you've just gotten so much better of bringing, whether it's your slider, your sweeper, in on right-handers and really being able to pitch to right-handers.
Yeah, I think that any good starting pitcher nowadays you see is able to work the ball both sides of the plate, and I think that that's something that I'm looking to still continue to get better at. I see myself doing that more this year than I have in the past, but there's still games like I had the other day where I had a tough game locating the ball on both sides of the plate. So it's a constant, working thing for me, and I've seen some good results from being able to get the sweeper backdoor and being able to work it into righties, and like you said, just balance those righty-heavy lineups, and that's able to kind of get me ahead of those certain hitters that I feel like that are pretty aggressive, that will take a pitch here and there, and then just able to set up other pitches later in games, and just make the game a little bit more carefree and easy than feeling like I always got to get guys out with my heater, really, you know, put it in perfect spots all the time.
Yeah, JP, what I've seen from you is how impressive you've pitched. Is the common denominator in your starts is you're always strike one, and it seems to me when you're at your best, you're the one that's hunting the hitter.
Right.
You know, it seems like a lot of times hitters are out there, they're going to play cat and mouse with the pitcher, but you look like you're out there hunting that hitter down, and that aggressive attitude I think is boding really well for you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that our pitching staff and our coaches, you know, like to talk about a lot. Is Emo tells us, you know, there's 27 outs to get out there, and you know, there's many ways to get outs, right? And the quickest way to get outs is, you know, get ahead of hitters and, you know, get them swinging and, you know, just get early outs and, you know, get your punch outs when you can. But, you know, there's a lot of outs to have in the game.
Sure.
Pitching on the road versus pitching at home. How much, you know, we talk a lot about that. You tell us, so what is the difference right now you feel for yourself when you're pitching at home versus the road? Because you've been good at both.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, honestly, you know, the mental side of baseball can be so, you know, heavy sometimes. I think as starting pitchers and as baseball players, we really try and just put everything in the same category. So for me, I don't really think too much differently about being at home rather than being on the road. Obviously, you know, we have, you know, I get to go out there first and, you know, start off the game hopefully with a good 1-2-3 inning. And, you know, obviously, like, that's, I think the big advantage I have is if I'm able to really control the game, then at home I feel like I have a better chance of doing that in a better way. And so I try not to like think about it too much as like, you know, this is a home start and away start, and how am I doing it, one or the other, you know, because it's such a long season. So, but yeah, it's obviously great to be at home whenever you feel like, you know, you have the crowd on your side, and, you know, you're getting a little bit more comfortable. You know, every time we come back home, you know, I feel like that we feel more at home here every time. So it's definitely like a good feeling to get comfortable and then start to, you know, really feel like, you know, you have a home park.
Yeah. JP, some of the times when the team has gotten off on the wrong track, the first couple of innings have been problematic in some of those games.
Yeah.
You know, is this something where you guys just try to say, hey, this is a kind of a one-off right now, it's gonna pass, or is it something that you guys are super cognitive about, and you're gonna say, hey, we're gonna go out there and this first 2 innings right here is something that we've got to nail down to get this thing on the right track?
Yeah, I think collectively as a team, you just try and recognize why we're getting in those situations. And, you know, as a starting pitcher, it's usually, you know, just not getting, like you said earlier, you know, not getting to strike one, not getting good counts. And, but, you know, also knowing that in those games, you know, you remind yourself that you have a really good offense behind us now that are able to, you know, put up runs. And especially, you know, playing at this park where at times the ball can seem to fly, you know, being 3 or 4 down early in a game is not too much to come back from. Right. So I think it's just about recognizing the individual process and knowing, okay, well, like we had a tough game last night. It's my opportunity to really, you know, start the game off well, you know, for the team and get us in a good spot. So like individually, I think of it that way when it's my time to start. But, you know, as a team, you just try and recognize the things that you're doing poorly and try and, you know, do them a little better.
Yeah.
You know, obviously you'd like the record a little bit better, more around 500 like it had been. But when you look at the past couple of years, you know, from a positive standpoint, tell us the difference, what you're feeling now than what you felt the last couple of years with this team.
Yeah, I feel like that, you know, obviously it's a long season. So, you know, you just try and I think that we talked the other day as a team, you know, us players is just trying to not, you know, get too ahead of ourselves and not really get too complacent, get too panicky or anything. We know that we're a lot better team. And you know, we're going to rely on that a lot this next couple of weeks. You know, we played some really good teams the past couple series, and we played some really good games before that. We felt like we could have won and we lost. So I think you just kind of build on that confidence of knowing that we're a really good team and knowing that we're a different team this year, and that, you know, we saw ourselves in really a lot different spots the last couple of years, and we know that that this is nothing the last, you know, week or two compared to how it's been. So there's a lot of confidence in there. Obviously, like, it's tough when you get swept and it's tough when you lose a couple series, but you know, it's like, again, it's a long season. So, you know, I'm feeling pretty confident about all of us.
Yeah, these things happen in this season. You know, invariably these things are going to – but I want to ask you on the other side of the ball about Jay Willie. Jacob Willie, I mean, I think he's a little bit there's so much talking about what he does offensively. Defensively, he catches everything, and he's out there making plays. I saw the play the other day where it deflected off the pitcher, hits the second base bag, and he still gets to throw the guys out. You know, I think he's underrated defensively, or people need to understand how good he is out there.
Yeah, Willie's he's got a great glove, and I love watching him throw the ball too. He's got such a strong arm across the diamond. So
the whole time,
So it's always, you know, comforting seeing your shortstop really have a strong arm and rip the ball across the diamond. So he's made some great plays, and you know, obviously he's a treat to watch every night at the plate as well.
Throwing to Shea Langoliers, just tell us what it's like, because it just seems like the way he has developed over the years. He's obviously turning into one of the better catchers in baseball.
Yeah, for sure. I think that being such a balanced player he is, I think we forget how fast of a player he is offensively. How how much of an impact he has there. But for me personally, as a pitcher, obviously you lean on your catcher a lot every 5 days, and Shea's just gotten to be more and more poised. He's always been like a really confident, poised player, and I think that I lean on him a lot just to. He just shows how the game's such a long game, and every game he always keeps me so my emotion level is so just stagnant throughout the game. I feel like we lean on Shea a lot as a team, just to as a good example of how to play hard every night and just kind of be prepared. So obviously he's had a great year, and I think though another thing people forget is like he might be one of our fastest players on the team too. So he's just a freak athlete. I think that's another thing that people need to remember. So. Yeah, Shea's definitely a treat to have behind the dish for me.
Yeah, I'd hate to see him with the football running around.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
The way he's built. Hey, I wanted to ask you, too, kind of like the mindset going into a game like this. Of course, everybody would love to pitch, a complete game. But today's with the numbers and the thought about going through third time through the lineup and whatnot, they've got all these numbers set up. Is your mindset out there saying, hey, I'm not going to get involved in that. My goal is to go right through this whole game to the ninth inning, and if they stop me before that, okay.
Yeah.
But is that the mindset going in?
Yeah, I think that over the years I've been able to kind of mature. I feel like my mindset going into every game. I'm looking at it more this year as just trying to. My job is to control every game as a starting pitcher. My job is to get out 1, out 2, out 3 in each inning. So I think that I used to kind of try and look at it as too big of a task at times, and now I just try and look at it as my job tonight is to control the game for our team and to get our team in a good spot to win the game. Right. And then I look at it as inning to inning, just trying to get 3 outs. So, when it's time to get 3 outs in the 6th, that's my goal. And then it's when it's time to get 3 outs in the 7th. And obviously, we've talked a lot, when take guys out of the game, when to leave them out there or whatever. And that's Cots' decision. And he knows that he's going to have to take the ball out of all our hands. And we want to be out there as long as we can. So. Sure. Obviously, yeah, but that's my mentality going to all of it, and obviously, I'm still looking for that first really deep game where I get hopefully in the 9th inning one day or something. So that's any of our goals as a starting pitcher sure. is the complete game, but it's a tall task for sure.
Well, I'm sure it's coming.
Yeah, hopefully so.
How much do you have to fight Cots sometimes? Like, you got to leave me in.
Yeah, it's obviously, it's tough, and when you're not throwing the ball great that game, and team's behind, you want to just do your best to get deep in the game for the team, just to set us up to maybe if we score some runs, then we can use our bullpen guys later or whatever, and so, but yeah, especially when we're winning the game by a couple runs, you want to be out there the whole game and do your best for the team. So obviously, it's been a great season so far, and I feel good right now. So
JP, how about Sevy on the team? Do you kind of look at him as an extension of the coaching staff, or kind of a guy that can give words of wisdom? Do you lean on him a bit?
For sure. I think that Emo was talking to me about it today. It's just experience just really matters a lot. I think that you're able to learn a lot from what he's experienced before I was in the big leagues, and he can kind of tell me a lot about that, and then we can kind of both learn from our experiences now. So. Just a lot of experience there, and Sevy's just such a poised player. Every night, I feel like he's always at the same level of, just emotions and stuff, and that's something I strive to do better at.
Hey, great stuff.
Thank you.
We appreciate.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Finally getting JP Sears out here. It's wonderful. You're free to go, my man. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to see you guys. Yeah.
Keep doing it. Keep doing it. It's been a lot of fun to watch.
That's right.
And Steve, like just talking about that, it's just when that left-hander has that ability to bring that ball in on your hands, you don't like it.
Yeah, that's right. When what they say is you get ahead of him inside and then get him out away, and he can do either one. And what I like about JP Sears is he's kind of mastered that mental part of the game, and to dissect each pitch, and each pitch sets up the next pitch, and he's got that figured out. For a guy that throws lower 90s, 92, he can get up to 94, 95 at times, but I really like the way he's a masterful pitcher, and that's why he's having such a great year.
Oh, sorry.
You all right?
Well, yeah, the Gooby and Sears threw a curveball. They switched up the.
I got here on a great day, man. You got Sears and Gooby here.
Yeah, well, tomorrow it's a good one too. We're gonna have Scott Emerson, our pitching coach. We're gonna have and David Force will be here, and Johnny.
Cool.
Johnny for hot takes. We didn't do hot takes last week. So we have to. I put the. Were you here for my Aaron Judge hot take?
No.
I said he wouldn't have a hit in the entire series against the Angel or against the when he was up here. And
the first pitch,
literally
bang.
the first pitch he saw, was took a hit out of
Right
the
over there.
ballpark. So that's my take is in the open. So Johnny's excited to hear that tomorrow.
All
right. As Chris Carey laughs at everything we do. Chris Carey will be on it sometime this week too. We're gonna have a cast of thousands, as Ken Korak would say, that joins us this week.
Nice.
But
Nice.
I tried to listen to what JP Sears had to say, but I'm glad we finally got him because we haven't had a left-handed starter throw as many innings and starts as he has over the last few years. So finally getting him on to come up here on the set. Last time we talked to him, I believe, was spring training. So
probably.
It's been a while since. So having the guys that we've known for years, he's the longest tenured starting pitcher we have. So have him come up and get a chance to catch up with him here was pretty cool.
What a great thing to have for a pitcher, you guys, too, to have a guy like that. He hasn't missed a start and going on the third year now. That's pretty good stuff. Last 2 years and now this year. So, he's going to be there.
The best ability is availability.
Yes, I agree with that.
That's what he's been one of those guys. There has been a lot of pitchers that have been available to go every fifth day, but he's been that guy for the A's, and he's on pace to do it again for the third straight year to have 30-plus starts.
That's
when
huge.
we talk about guys not going 200 innings, he's a guy that has a good chance to do it every year for the Athletics.
Manager gets up in the mornings thinking about the game. My bullpen, how am I going to do this today? Okay, JP's pitching. I know he's going to take the ball, so that's a comforting, thing for a manager to have.
Well, yeah, you're going to get at least 6 innings most likely from him, and then you can rely on the bullpen to only have to get 12 outs instead of having to get 15 or whatnot. So, 9 outs, not 12 would be five innings. So you know that you're going to get length out of him, which is good.
Exactly.
And he's built up to being a leader in the clubhouse, which is good to see too. So
tonight's
I heard you guys ask Gubicza. That is true. Jacob Wilson and Zach Neto, two of the young hotshot hitting shortstops in baseball. I like Neto's game. I'm glad he's back healthy, and it's exciting. The Angels don't have a lot of their high-priced guys. It's not usually this windy here. It was like 90 degrees here today. Now with the winds blowing, the Angels we're not going to see Trout and Rendon. So seeing guys like Neto and Shawnoel, like seeing the youth there, then seeing the youth that the Athletics have, it's refreshing, and it's also nice not seeing an NL team for once.
Yeah. Hey, did Rendon's leg fall off or something? How long has it been since he played?
I don't think he's going to play this year. I think
he's out for the year.
Yeah, he's out for the year.
Was it another injury or was it the old one? Another one.
He played in 57 games last year, then 43 the year before, 47 the year before that.
Come on.
58 the year before that, and then his first year at the Angels when he signed the big deal, 52 games. Well, that was 2020, so there's only 60 games. So he almost played the full season.
All right, and these are all different injuries.
Yeah. Remember, he said baseball isn't really his first love.
That's right.
So
that's right.
And he didn't want to sign with the Dodgers because it was too Hollywood for him.
I don't want to
or
trash
whatever
him,
it was.
but I remember he did say,
go ahead and trash him. That's fine.
I think he said something like, I come here to play because I do it because it's my job, but I don't really love it. I don't know.
I'm going to look up that quote right now.
Yeah, you can look that up. I don't want to paraphrase. He's not here to protect himself.
Apparently, he said before he doesn't watch a lot of baseball because he finds it too long and boring. This is a guy that makes $245 million, and you can't get him to say he likes the sport he plays and makes a lot of money in. That's a bad sign.
That's not good reverberating through the clubhouse. I know.
No, and then there's another guy. Good. There's another guy that didn't have a good weekend. A guy you're a big fan of, Juan Soto.
I saw that.
1 for 10 against the Yankees. There's all kinds of stories coming out. Jeff Passan had to put a tweet out earlier saying that no, he does not have his own private jet that he flies separately instead of flying with the Mets and with his family. It's like, what are we doing?
But why? That's what I'm saying. Why? He's a two-tool player. He can hit and he's got power. He has the ability to do that. But everything else, you can't tell me that this guy is worth twice as much as Aaron Judge or, twice as much as Mike Trout. He ain't no Mike Trout. Not even close.
No, the only thing that he does that Trout doesn't do is he stays on the field. But but he's
that.
Not when Trout is healthy. He's not even close to the player that Trout was.
Now, Towny, he walks. He can get a walk.
He walks a lot.
Yeah, okay.
That was a big thing this weekend. He was 1 for 10, but he walked 4 times.
Okay, so his on base.
Clearly, if you watch this series, the Yankees are better because they went out and got Fried, Goldschmidt, Bellinger.
Yes.
They're a better team, not stuck with that contract of Juan Soto.
That's
You're
another
right. 100%.
That's another teaser buying or selling question in there for you about the Yankees and Soto because they totally. Max Fried, Garrett Cole goes out. They didn't know Cole was going to go, but that was the best signing of the offseason, right? He's been unbelievable for them.
Well, Paul Goldschmidt has been on fire too.
Yeah, and even Belly had 6 RBIs yesterday. Bellinger had a good game, so he's starting to hit a little bit. and Soto's hitting 256 on the year.
Yeah.
So having those three guys perform and Soto being in New York.
By the way, Bellinger, I want to say that was his 7th home run.
So he had 6. I think he had 6 RBIs, but yeah, he has 7 homers, 28 RBIs.
For a center fielder or an outfielder, versatility.
Yeah,
we take that.
Yeah, and he can play first base if you need him to too. He's a crazy athlete. And you know, when you talk about Paul Goldschmidt playing in Yankee Stadium, that's tailor made for him because he's like Judge. He guns to right field.
Yeah,
and that porch there is for lefties, but it's for guys like Paul too. You know,
he's a guy that people thought he was towards the twilight of his career his last couple of years in St. Louis, and seeing him sign with the Yankees and have a kind of a resurgence.
Yeah.
As a guy, I've always liked Goldschmidt. I always
too.
thought he was I can't say he was underrated in Arizona, but I think that people didn't talk about enough because he played in Arizona and he wasn't playing in a major.
Yes.
I hate saying Phoenix isn't a major market. It is.
It is.
But in baseball, we don't look at it as a major market.
I had him in Arizona in 2013. I can tell you, I mean, nobody works harder than him, and he's might be the nicest guy in baseball. One of the nicest I've ever met. Just the nicest guy, humble, just a great guy. Love him as a teammate. Yeah, works hard. Yeah.
It's crazy that he didn't win his first MVP until he was a Cardinal. He had all those years in Arizona. That shows you that
big years too.
Yeah, he was the perennial first baseman in Arizona because he could hit, he could steal bases. And he's a great defensive first baseman.
Great defender.
Now to see him playing with the Yankees, I can't stomach knowing that he plays for the Yankees, but he's having a nice year for the Yankees, and they've for sure made up by not having Juan Soto on that team because they were able to bring in other guys to replace him.
Yeah,
you're paying him $12 million and he's hitting $340.
What a steal!
That's the second best batting average in the American League, right? Isn't it Judge, him, and then Jacob Wilson?
Wow.
I think if I'm a Yankee fan, I think I'll take Goldschmidt over what Juan Soto is doing, and who knows what he's going to do in the next 8 years? Because 8 years from now, when he's 34, and he could be 30 pounds heavier. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Another thing Goldschmidt can do, I think, better than Juan Soto. Believe it or not, he can outrun him. Paul Goldschmidt can run.
Yeah, he's a good athlete.
Good athlete.
Soto is not.
No. Soto's not.
As Towny would say, he's a slug on the bases. He could walk the first, but he's hard to score.
And if you watch the series, multiple defensive issues with Soto.
Oh, yeah.
This is prime, and he stinks on D.
Yeah. So coming up next, we're going to preview more of the A's and the Angels. We'll do a little buying or selling right here on A's Cast Live.
Here's the pitch, and it's a hit. Folsom Lake Ford has stepped up again, winning the Triple Crown Award, Ford Motor Company's highest honor. Now 7 years in a row, Folsom Lake Ford is a top sales leader in the U.S., along with being top in customer satisfaction in sales, service, and finance. Now that's a home run. Don't miss the huge savings on your favorite models at your truck headquarters. Folsom Lake Ford in the Folsom Auto Mall.
A's catcher Shea Langoliers sat down with Towny on A's Cast Live to share the unique story behind his name.
My dad was a Mets fan growing up because my grandpa was a Yankees fan, so they had that natural going against each other. My dad was born in 1969, the 69 Mets. He graduated high school in 86, the 86 Mets. So he just kind of had that connection to him, and that's kind of how it happened.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
And here's the pitch to Tyler. Swung on, drilled to right, way back. Martini at the track. He will turn and watch it fly.
That swung on, drive to deep right field. Going back, Palacios, and it is gone.
2 payoff pitch, and Soderstrom launches this one to deep right. Taylor back, it is gone, and Soderstrom has done it again.
A's shortstop Jacob Wilson joined Towny on A's Cast Live to break down his approach at the plate with runners in scoring position.
I think I kind of just go up there and I trust my hand-eye coordination, be able to go up there, look for a strike, and knowing that if I swing, be able to put the ball in play, something that I work on a lot, and right there in those situations with 2 strikes, all you really got to do is put the ball in play and find the hole, and then good things can happen. Even, right there, you hit a ball right at someone, they bobble it, the guy scores. Like, you put the ball in play, you put pressure on the defense. So for me, it's just being able to put, obviously put the pressure on the defense and trying to find as many holes as I can, try and score runs. And, I love hitting the situations, love hitting the runners in scoring position. Anything I can do to, put runs on the board and overall win the game. It's kind of why we play the sport, is get wins. And, last night one was pretty special.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
Calling all college and grad students. Grab your friends and head to the ballpark with this special offer. Save up to 50% off select regular season games throughout the 2025 season. Get your discounted tickets at athletics.com/student.
Streaming from West Sacramento, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
Well, Cody Elias, Chris Townsend, Steve Sax here. One more segment before we kick it over to Johnny D and Shooty Babbitt on the radio today.
Shooty B.
On A's Cast Talk 650 KSD and 95.5 The Bull in Las Vegas and the A's radio network, A's and Angels. So I dove into some numbers looking at the A's over the last 12 games. And the 3 wins, teams scored 29 runs. They're averaging 9.6 runs per game. It's pretty good, right? 9 home runs, 18 extra base hits, a 366 batting average, and an over 1,070 OPS. And the losses, 20 runs, and the 9 losses, 20 runs. That's 2.2 runs per game. Only 4 homers and a 190 batting average. For a team that's hitting really well this year, the offense has to get going, and it can't be all carried through Jacob Wilson. That's why we talked about earlier, Lawrence Butler needs to have a big series because he's owned the Angels going back to last season.
Yeah, it's not only that, but too, it's Blade and Soderstrom and all these guys that the team counts on those guys, and Jacob Wilson's been a constant all year long, but it's got to be the other guys too. And I think, as Towny said, Lawrence Butler is absolutely huge on this team. He's got to get going. Jacob Wilson, great in the second spot. He's great anywhere, but probably more effective for the team overall if he's hitting second and Lauren Butler's on second base for him, or on first going to steal second, putting pressure on the defense. That opens it up even more for Jacob Wilson. Those guys in the middle kind of pinch in the middle for that double play, man, he's wide open for him. So that makes a difference. Those little things add up for the team's wherewithal to be better.
And what I think Lawrence had 17 still, because we were looking, he was on pace to be almost a 2020 guy last year for the A's.
Yeah. So
him getting the swagger back that Towny mentioned earlier, that's going to be huge for the ball club, to have him coming out of the leadoff spot, getting on base, and being essentially the trendsetter for Jacob Wilson, Lawrence, Brent Rooker, Soderstrom, and be able to bring these guys in. Because I agree. We look at how the 2 holes approach now, and from hitting, I think Jacob Wilson is the prototypical guy to put in that spot.
Yeah. And just had his first 0 for 14. What'd you think of that?
Yeah. Well, I think it was 0 for 15 or 14 or 15. Yeah. I mean, even a guy that can put the bat on the ball like him, it's still going to happen. It happens to everybody. I mean, I'm surprised that, we're talking about 0 for 14 or 15, because there's been 0 for 20s and 25s with people that are really good hitters, and it can happen to everybody, and it happens to everybody. One thing about this game of baseball, you guys know this more than anything, the amount of baseball you guys have covered, is that every single person that plays is going to get humbled. Everybody will. And they'll have great moments too, but they're going to get humbled, and it's how fast they can come out of that and do better. And I don't have any worries about Jacob Wilson. This guy's a generational type of player, I think. And I'm not just saying this on this year. I look what he did in college. I look what he did in first year of pro ball. I see a pattern. And I don't know if he's going to hit 400 like those other places, but could he hit?
That'd be pretty incredible if he did.
Could he hit 340 or 330? Absolutely, he could. Absolutely, he could.
And Gooby said he saw it in high school.
Yeah, good point. He did.
I mean, he's the if you look back at the last 12 games, because the last 12 games go back to Seattle, New York, LA, San Francisco, the gauntlet that the A's had to face the last 12 games. He's still hitting 347 with that 0 for 14 streak, or slump in there. I guess we can call it a slump. Four strikeouts, but he did walk 4 times as well. So I know that's going to make the front office very happy that he walked 4 times, and he had a 947 OPS. So having him get out of the slump. What's the longest slump you ever had in your career?
Gosh, a lot more than what Jacob Wilson had. I can tell you that. I'm sure I had some over 20-somethings. Yeah, I mean, you feel like you're never going to get a hit. You don't see the ball at all, and you wonder, how am I going to get out of this thing? You're cursing yourself coming out of the at-bats, you're hating on yourself, and it's not right. And you mature out of that. You get a little better later in your career. Those start to be mitigated a little bit because you're able to handle it a little bit better. But I see Jacob Wilson, he handled it like a champ. You can't tell if he's gotten 4 for 4 or if he's 1 for 4. I can't tell the difference in his demeanor, and that's a great thing to have.
Well, because there were some balls he hit even in San Francisco. He hit the ball right on the button, and it was right at someone.
Got
So like
nothing for
it's not like he was going 0 for 14 with 14 strikeouts, or he just hit a bunch of strikeouts. He's putting the ball in play, and he's just bad. I mean, I hate to say the expected, but he had bad luck. Is essentially what a lot of it was.
I'm so ashamed of myself sometimes. I think about what I did when I was in New York Towny. I broke 6 helmets. For going down. At least I went down in under the dugout in the runway, and I mean I'm slamming it. The helmet's bouncing back off the wall and hitting me, and I'm beating up the helmet. I broke 6 of them that year, and you know what? I guess that's the way I had to get it out of my system. But Jay Willie just kind of, he's a lot more confident than I was. He just goes up there and he's just, he's twitching and flinching and he's hitting every time until he's not hitting. And I just love that approach. Love it.
You seem like you were always hanging by a thread.
Yeah. Maybe so. Maybe that's what helped me. Maybe that did help me.
Did you get to enjoy it at all?
Well, yeah, I did sometimes, but I was my own worst enemy sometimes. When I was going through that throwing issue, I swear to God, I hated myself. I would wake up, I would say, "You're the stupidest, dumbest. Every girl that plays Bobby Sock softball can throw it over there. What the heck is wrong with you?" And I was nobody hated me more than me when I was going through that. And all the big fans of LA, I felt like it was letting people down. And when I got over it, it was the biggest breath of fresh air.
What did that do for you confidence-wise in life?
Oh, it's a great question. It did a lot for me, and it humbled the heck out of me, and it made me so grateful for all the good things that I had. All the, my family was such a great thing. My family stood behind me the whole way, but it was crushing me. And I'm surprised. One good thing I had Tommy Lasorda as my manager, and he said, when it was all over, he said, I never took you out of the lineup because I know it would have crushed your confidence for the rest of your career. That's why I didn't take you out of the lineup. And he never did. And only one game was hurt by those errant throws I made. They were like 9th inning, we're up by 4, and I'd blunder one. Only one of those errors actually hurt us in a game.
And to talk about the mental side of life, that throwing issue was one of the biggest stories in baseball.
Oh, absolutely.
You couldn't escape it.
No. And it was the loneliest thing. I was out there. I can't hide. There's 60,000 people there. They're all buzzing. What the heck's wrong with this dude? People were writing in saying he's on drugs. How long you been drinking? Or, what the heck's wrong with you? My daughter can do that throw. It was the most humiliating, ugly thing I ever went through. I think God just put me through a test. I really do. Just, hey, you think you're going good? Try this one on. But I was fortunate to get over that sucker, man. When I went to New York,
not everybody does.
No, when I went to New York, I led the league in fielding, and that was the greatest thing ever because I had Don Mattingly at first base, and he caught everything for me.
Yeah.
And it gave me a lot
Just
of
throw it in a radius.
Throw it in a whole area, and he'll catch it. And he did. He really did. Yeah.
Who was it? Is it Chuck Knobloch that had the throwing problem in his career, and then it was
Mackie Sasser behind the plate,
and then it was
a lot of guys that had it you don't even know about.
And then I know from pitching, Steve Blass had the issue.
Rick Ankiel,
and then
Steve Blass.
Ankiel was
Dale Murphy.
Oh, really?
Dale Murphy was a catcher. Couldn't throw it home. Couldn't throw back the pitcher. So they put him at first. Still couldn't throw in the infield. They put him in the outfield. He won 5 Gold Gloves in center field.
And 2 MVPs.
Yeah.
Anybody who plays golf at some point, you will get the yips putting.
Yeah, it is something. Yeah. I don't know. I don't figure it out, but I'm glad I got over it.
Did you have a superstition or whatever you do to break a slump?
Well, if I was hitting well, I would use the same bat. I had a bat once, Towny, that I was using, and I remember I was in Detroit, and the bat was starting to fray at the end, but I was hitting doubles with it and base hits, and I just kept using it. Finally, this one at bat in Detroit, I hit a double with it, and the end of the bat just popped like a pillow. And the umpire, when I scored after that, somebody got hit, knocked me in, and the umpire said, "Hey," before Dougie said, "You can't use that bat anymore. It's not even legal." So I had to not use it. But I used it until I wore it out, So, yeah, I had some superstitions like that.
Well, I know baseball players are very superstitious, and managers are too. Bob Melvin was a very superstitious manager, so I always like to ask former players what their superstitions were, how they broke slumps, and to hear you talk about and break down, your throwing issue, that I never knew how you got through that, so that was good to hear. Okay, it's time for a segment.
Well, just quickly,
okay.
Did you go outside the Dodgers and see anybody?
No.
Psychologists or anything?
Nope. Never did. Just another time I'll tell you how I got over it. But yeah, I just a lot of work, and prayed a lot, and beat it. I basically just bit it right back in the face when I admitted I had a problem. I had to admit to myself I had a problem. I said I'm scared. I lost my confidence. I'm scared, and I started biting this thing back in the face through some advice I had from my dad one day before he died. It's the last conversation I ever had with him, and that's what helped me get over this thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
was there one throw that you made and went,
yes,
we're good?
We're good. Against Cincinnati, had a play up the middle, had a backhanded behind the base, had a long throw, and I made a great throw over there. And you know what? I could hear Vin Scully calling the play. And I remember after I made that play, I heard Vin Scully in the booth saying, well, he's back. And I remember that, and I thought, Vin Scully says I'm back.
I mean, that's a pretty memorable person to be calling that and saying that you're back. And for you to hear that, I mean, that's even better.
Yeah.
But, I remember hearing about it, reading about the issue, but I didn't to hear your perspective on how you dealt with it. So you didn't go to Driveline or, any of those things like that?
No, I would have called Tony Robbins up today or something. I really would have. Yeah, I would have done basically just about anything to get over this thing. It was haunting me. I mean, I'd wake up in the middle of the night. I lost weight. I would be at the dinner table with it. My mom told me one time, and I made the All-Star team that year, and my mom was at the game with me. I took her as my guest, and she said, one day you're going to wake up and you're going to be very grateful that you went through this throwing issue. And I never really thought that my mom had ever smoked hashish or anything like that. But I thought
in West Sacramento.
Yes. I said, what are you talking about? But she was right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm blown away with this, hearing the whole story, because I didn't know any. Like I said, I knew about the issue. I didn't know how you fix it, dealt with it. Because everyone's different. Everyone has different vices, how they go through. But hearing that, the advice your dad gave you, and you figured it out. I mean, that's.
Well, my dad was like my three sons' dad. He never said I'm sorry. He never said I love you. My dad was like John Wayne, and he told me one time. He says, one day you're going to wake up and you're going to be over this, because I went through it when I played. My dad was a really good player, and I thought, well, if that big strong dude can go through it, I can, right? So when I got over it, I had a conversation with my mom about this conversation with my dad that gave me some confidence, and I got over this thing. And my mom and dad have been together since the 5th grade, and my mom said, I got to tell you something. She goes, your dad never went through a throwing problem. He only told me that because he knew how much I revered him, and he told me that to give me that inner confidence that someday, hey, if it could happen to him, it could happen to you too. You can get over this, and you get over it in practice. That's what he told me, and I did.
Do you think the pressure of playing in Los Angeles added to it? Like, do you think you would have felt as bad as you did if you played somewhere like, I hate to say, Montreal or Minnesota?
Maybe not. But, I actually, when I went to New York, I felt it was tougher to play in L.A. than New York, because New York had a lot of stars on the team. Ricky Henderson, and there was Dave Winfield and Don Mattingly. They didn't care about me, what I did. Stars, big dudes, And so they just talked about those guys, and I got to sneak in there and do my job. And nobody cared.
Hey, you flew in under the radar.
I wouldn't have had it any other way. It was great. They looked up and, oh, shoot, that's a pretty good year. So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you told the story, because I'm sure a lot of our listeners, not just the people here in West Sacramento listening on KSC, but everyone listening on
I don't mind talking about it. I really don't. It's part of what I did. In some ways, I'm really glad I went through it. In other ways, it was very humiliating. It was so embarrassing, to walk around in LA and people, I could hear them snicker, and it was terrible for a while. But it's okay.
Because I wanted to ask, like, thinking that if it has happened in a smaller market that wasn't Los Angeles, especially in the 80s at that time when the Dodgers were really good, and obviously if you're doing this in
and the
Montreal,
Dodgers are so fundamentally central to the guys they bring up. When you come up in the big leagues with the Dodgers, you better be ready to play. You're not here to learn. You're here to contribute. And I did my rookie year, and then this happened my second year. So anyway,
you went on to have a nice career.
Yeah, it turned out okay.
Yeah, it turned out okay.
It turned out okay.
So we're going to do a segment. We're bringing it back that we haven't done in a long time. It's buying or selling. And yes, we have an open for it. Kyle, play the open.
It's time for buying or selling.
Sell.
Right now with Chris Townsend on A's Cast Live.
All right, so here we go. The first one we talked about a little bit earlier. Now, the Pirates stink right now. They're 17 games under 500 as we enter today. They have 15 wins, so they're more games under 500 than they have wins. They fired our guy, Derek Shelton, and Don Kelly, a local Pittsburgh kid, now managing the team. They have the fewest home runs in baseball, the fewest runs scored in the National League, second most strikeouts, and are tied for the lowest batting average in baseball at 217. They've gone 23 straight games scoring four or less runs. Paul Skeens had a complete game yesterday and allowed only one run, and they lost 1-0. Buying,
give the rookie from Philly credit, by the way.
Oh, Mick Abel, making his debut. Buying or selling, the Pirates should trade Paul Skeens.
I'm selling. Build around him. You want a star? He's a star. He's just not a great pitcher. He's a box office return on investment kind of guy. You're going to make money off of him. He's just not saying, he's a good pitcher, moving for prospect. No, this guy puts butts in the seats. We're going into a world of streaming where you need people paying for the streaming. You need a guy like this on your team.
Hembo, our guy, put out a stat.
Now you respond.
Yeah,
I think I don't want to say the same thing. I'll try to be a little different than Towny. He nailed it for sure. Towny, you should be a GM as far as I'm concerned. You should be out there and be a GM somewhere. No, I'm not selling him. I'm going to build around him. I like somewhere between what you said before about Jeff Bezos buying the team.
Yeah.
I'm not maybe going that drastic, but I'm saying spend the dough and build around a guy like Skeens, because pitching is so valuable, and you need nine or 10 starters before you start the season. And that guy's phenomenal. He's a number one anywhere.
Yeah. Here's a stat. Our guy Hembo from ESPN, Paul Hembekides. The Pirates have scored a total of 9 runs in Paul Skeens' 8 career losses, in which he has a 3.44 ERA. That's the lowest ERA by any starter in losses across the last 2 seasons. Over that span, the league ERA in starters' losses is 7.50. So it just shows you how inept the Pirates' offense is and how bad they've been at their player development.
He's got a little bit of that Nolan Ryan stuff going. About Nolan's career. His wins and losses were nothing. It wasn't commensurate to his ability and the things he did. And 7 no-hitters and striking out 5,741 hitters. It didn't match up. Maybe Skeens has got some of that.
I'm more impressed that you remembered the exact strikeouts. That's like me remembering Greg Maddox's win total.
Because I looked it up this morning. I didn't remember it.
I mean, we talk about how no one's topping Wayne Gretzky's goal record.
Yeah.
No one's sniffing his strikeout record. No one's even going to come close when the guys don't pitch long enough to
never going to happen.
Get toward. Verlander might be one of the last guys to get to 3,000 strikeouts.
Well, I thought Verlander at
Kershaw.
3,400.
Well, I mean, that generation and Scherzer and Greinke fell like 18 strikeouts shy of it.
Kershaw's close, right?
Like 32. 32 away. I think 32 is the number.
He pitched on Saturday for the Angels against the Angels.
So he's 20.
Kershaw's 30 away.
Okay.
30 strikeouts. So he might get it. I mean, he should get it this year if he stays healthy.
He should get that. Come on, he could.
So back on this date in 2018, the Rays employed the opener for the first time. The now common strategy began with Sergio Romo outing in Anaheim, who are here tonight in West Sacramento, where the reliever struck out the side in the first inning in his 589th MLB appearance in his first start. Ever since then, teams have been using it. Ryan Stanek, now Met, friend of the program, did it a lot. The premise behind it is you you get no more than 6 outs or face more than 9 batters. So you can essentially have the guy not go through the lineup. The bulk guy go more than 3 times through the order.
Right.
Buying or selling the opener strategy was a success or is a success.
I'm buying it. Yeah, I think it has been. But I don't. There's an asterisk here. I don't think it can continue. I think people are going to wear that out. I think bullpens are going to wear out as the season goes along. I think as an opener for a while, it was a success, but I think it's had its day.
The numbers have gone down
Yeah.
each year with the
I agree.
opener. I know we saw it come back a little bit, and yes, the A's did use the opener in 2018 in the wild card game in the Yankee Stadium. Liam Hendriks started that game, so it's a little different the way that the strategy is being used now. But I'm glad that it's kind of phased its way out, and we're seeing more starting pitchers.
No, I'm all about carrying the mail for the starters doing it. You know, one good thing about when they developed this game, they really were smart about it. And some of these drastic changes, I think, the pendulum's gone a little bit too far. For instance, the other day we're doing a River Cats game, and there's a guy in first. There's a guy that's not a big pull hitter, and they're playing him drastically. One over to the left, the shortstop way over towards third. The second baseman, there's this chasm in the middle of the field. I was taught that you don't ever give up the ability to make a double play. You pinch the middle, and these guys constantly hit balls way left of second base, and it's in the left center field for a base hit. Where's that double play position? They just throw it out. I don't get that. They overshift.
Your thoughts on the opener?
It's a fail. If the opener was a success, we'd all be doing it right now.
True.
They tried it.
Yeah. Worked for a bit.
Tampa was really the one team that it benefited.
Yeah, for sure.
Tampa was.
But now if it was such a great strategy, people would be doing it all the time.
Yeah, it's had to stay.
So to me, failure.
Okay.
I mean, you're going to do it every once in a while.
Yeah.
But you're talking about as a strategy, we're going to implement this, and this is a part of what we do.
No.
Week in and week out. No, it's a failure.
It can't be a systematic thing for an organization. No way.
So the Tigers entered the week 2 games ahead of the Dodgers and Mets for the best record in baseball. They'll visit the Cardinals, who are hot lately. They've won 7 of they've been undefeated in their last 7 series.
Dude, Cardinals have won like 12 or 14.
Yeah, they're playing really well in the NL Central.
Smoking hot.
The Tigers are having an unexpected breakout resurgence year from Javi Baez playing center field of all places. Yeah. And their offense looks good. Torkelson, the North Bay kid, not hitting for average, but he has a lot of power. He has a lot of home runs, a lot of doubles. And their pitching staff has the 4th best ERA in baseball. Buying or selling, right now the Tigers are the best team in Major League Baseball.
Best team?
Yeah.
A lot of that is because of Scooble, right?
No, he's pretty good.
My nephew turned him around, boy, the other day. That I got to get that on there, too. He did great against Scooble. And then when he faced Chris Sale, he turned him around. He got 2 off him.
You're just saying right now.
Right now, yeah. Not overall. I'm talking about just right now.
Right now.
Right.
Yeah, I think right now.
Yeah, I buy that.
Yeah.
I
Right
mean,
now. Yeah.
And they play good defense.
Yep.
Well, Javi Baez is playing center field.
And he's playing a great center field.
He looks good in center. And he's
a good athlete.
He's hitting 291, and he's not striking out all the time like he was for the last X amount of years.
Take that.
For Detroit.
The MAGA.
The Yankees and Mets played the Subway Series this weekend in New York. Juan Soto returned to the Bronx after signing a 15-year, $765 million deal. He was 1 for 10 in the series. Is hitting 246 on the year, but he walked 4 times in the game or in the series.
That's it.
The Yankees opted not to re-sign him and brought in Max Reed, Paul Goldschmidt, Cody Bellinger instead. Buying or selling, the Yankees made the right move not re-signing Juan Soto.
Absolutely. Listen, I don't want to trash on Soto, but I'll tell you, the 700, what was it,
765.
765. Okay.
15 years.
Okay, I think he's worth about a quarter of that, and I'm not just throwing a number out there. I thought about it, and you tell me he's better than Mike Trout or Aaron Judge. They're not even in the same class, and yet he's making 760 and they're making 360. No way, not even close.
Yeah, even guys like
Yankees, I'm saying the Yankees did the right thing.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly that they made the right move because a couple years from now, you don't even know what Soto is going to look like physically. What kind of and he's not going to be playing in the field. He's going to be essentially Ohtani, but Ohtani is a good athlete. He still won 50-50 last year.
Ohtani will be playing later in his career. No, we don't know where. I mean, I would like to see Ohtani in the outfield. I mean, I think he's got blazing speed.
Yeah.
Can you imagine him in center field? He would be amazing.
Plus, he probably would have. You would think he would have a good arm too after being a pitcher. Throws 100. Yeah. I mean, Rick Ankiel had a good arm playing center field for the Cardinals. So
I think Ohtani, with his athleticism, could be a phenomenal outfielder.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll ever do it because I mean, then again, I never thought I'd see Mookie Betts playing shortstop, and here we are with that. So I'm going to assume you're all over the Yankees made the right move.
Well, this week improved it. Max Fried's out there throwing 98, 97 miles an hour, dominating. Goldschmidt's one of the best hitters. You got Bellinger. Devin Williams will turn it around. Yeah. I mean, all these guys are here. They wouldn't have been able to afford with Juan Soto.
Right.
And the Juan Soto contract is going to be off.
Yeah.
Way quicker than you think.
Yeah.
He's already gained weight. He already looks slow. They're already, I mean, people are in New York are already like, did you see the one he did the half swing grounder? It was a tie game, and he just Cadillac'd it to first.
Well, he did one on it
This is year one, man.
Yeah,
It's going to be an
There was a report out there too. I think it was Bob Clappish was. Let me see. I think I screenshotted it because I wanted to. Essentially, Mets hierarchy is reportedly concerned with Juan Soto's lack of enthusiasm. It's year one. It's May.
He's got 760. Lack of enthusiasm. I don't understand that at all. I can't even comprehend it.
And then the idea that Jeff Passanetta put a tweet saying that he doesn't fly on a private jet. It's just what is going on in the Mets clubhouse?
I mean,
and they're a good team. It's not like they're losing.
Don't you think you owe something back? You want to live up to a standard to be paid as the highest guy in American sports history, and you jog to first base? Is there something else you got on your mind? What's more important? I don't get it.
How long till he's at DH?
3 years he'll be DH.
Because we were talking about it when the Mets were here.
I think
he just looks awful in the outfield.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's a liability.
Yeah, and he can't run.
No.
So when he gets on, who cares if he walks? He can't run.
No, he can't.
So it's hard to score him from first.
But you know what he can do? Back out of the plate and nod at the pitcher. Like, okay, man. You know what I mean? He can do that really good.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Here we go. Yeah. And then
get in there and swing it, you clown.
Okay, well, I'm gonna save the last two buying or selling for tomorrow because one of them's on Mike Trout. I think you'll like this one. So, Kyle, you can fade out the music here. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification right here on A's Cast. All right, so the A's and Angels are coming up next. Well, actually, Johnny D and Shooty Babbitt are coming up next. Towny and Steve Sax will be back at 6:30 for A's Cast on NBC Sports California. We want to thank Mark Gubicza, World Series champion and Angels TV analyst, and also JP Sears, A's left-handed starter, for joining the program today. A good show lined up for tomorrow. Scott Emerson, David Forrest, Johnny D, and hopefully an A's player will all be on the set here in West Sacramento. Thank you for watching and listening to A's Cast, and we'll see everyone tomorrow right here at 4:30 on A's Cast Live.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
This has been a presentation of The Athletics.